How do I sound? All right. I don't think I got everything I wanted from that stream, but Calbob, thanks for saying something. With the adjustment, I hope it's okay. Just enjoying the extra room that I have here. Reorganize the entire Commandos Orange studio, my friends. I can't tell you how much of just a sheer attitude change. Anyway, don't even know how I want to sit. Maybe I don't want the blue light of the mic facing right at me. Maybe these things don't matter. Maybe I'm feeling so good about being live, streaming some Gwent for you, that I'm not even thinking about important things anymore. Because the important things are that we're live and we're here and we're talking about new Gwent content. And the unimportant things are stuff like the position of my microphone. So we got some information from our good friend Paul Berja and from Austri, Spicy Austri, who I like what they did. They didn't give me everything I wanted, and they told me that they weren't going to do that in the stream. They said, we're not going to make too many changes. We're not going to do all these things. We're going to do some of these things. Here's why. And that's that. And I thought, okay. I'm fine with that. I think it's great. And the first thing they talked about was mulligans. People are choosing leaders because of how many mulligans they have, so that's an issue. So it sounds like everybody has the same amount of mulligans. 2 in round 1, 2 in round 2, and 2 in round 3. Every single leader has 6 mulligans. That seems like a lot. Seems like a lot when the best leaders were the best leader on Blue Coin. You get seven mulligans on Blue Coin, by the way. It's 2 per round, though, so there is still, obviously, it's not 7 mulligans. It's not 7 mulligans. It's 2 per round. 1 more if you go first, and 1 more for each card you overdraw should you pass and go over the hand limit. You don't draw these cards. These cards stay in your deck. This is a change that I love to really think about, because now at least we understand the atmosphere of what is going to change and what isn't going to change, because what's not going to change is the card draw per turn, 3 and 3. And what also isn't changing is the hand limit of 10 cards. So if you're not changing either of those things, how does that really impact the game? So would you open pass to get extra mulligans? I don't know. I really have to feel it out. It's kind of hard to just strictly analyze it like that. Am I happy that all leaders have the same amount of mulligans? Absolutely. Yes, I am absolutely 100% okay with that. Do I think that bad bronzes at low provision cost will remain, I guess, not desirable? Like, you don't want to play them and you don't want to put them in your deck and you'd rather just mulligan them away for good cards. Do I think, like, the thing is, the truth is, this is just something I saw Tailbot talk about. He tweeted about this. I really kind of disagreed, because I think that, I mean, his one suggestion was to raise the provision low amount, like the lowest amount of provision cost. And that's cool, I guess, because when you bring a card down to 4 and they fill your card count, like, you need to be careful that, like, if there was ever a card that cost 0, it would be broken, because basically it would allow you to lower the amount of points you would need to spend for your card count. So you could never have that. And then even cards at 1 and 2, it really encouraged you to put absolute trash in your deck to fit in, like, premium cards. Right now, I don't feel like we're fitting in too many good cards and needing to run too many quote-unquote bad cards. That's what I think. So I don't think that 4 is a bad spot to have cards enter the game at a strength level. Especially considering if the first round dance is going to be a little different. Like if you have really good cards in your hand and you get bled out in round 2 and you draw crap, was that preventable? How is it preventable? Is it so bad? I mean, it's interesting. I didn't think they were going to address this, but I think that right now deck building is pretty interesting. And now we're going to have a different world of deck building. Now, instead of leaders costing you or providing you additional mulligans of cards from your hand, that, as you know, swap the cards out of your hand and you get a new one from your deck with no blacklisting. Ooh, no blacklisting. So that's another reason why maybe 7 mulligans doesn't seem absolutely insane. So now, the baseline provisions for decks is lower. I would have to review the video, but it seems like it was 155 instead of 165, and now the leader bestows upon you additional provisions. And the example they used was Ethna. Ethna ultimately gives you 4 extra provision points to go with her ability. So you can add 1 more, or you can shift your deck. You just have a little bit more wiggle room to make your deck, a little bit better. However, Usurper would have the lowest amount, perhaps bringing the cap lower than it used to be. Base is 150 plus leader. Thanks, Jamoni. Thanks, Pasty McGee. Thanks, Gitu. 150 plus leader. 150 plus leader. So 19, yeah, would be 169. Got it. 150 plus leader. That makes more sense. If Ethna was 19, using her would give you 169. Initial cap is 150. Thanks. XY Invincible. Thanks everybody for just recapping that. Because there's some other stuff, because they showed on the screen, what leaders are giving what amount of provisions. So it would be, I don't know, it would be foolish to continue talking about this without checking to see if anybody perhaps posted a picture of the thing. It would be pretty fast though if it was already up. Be some easy karma. Unless it's already it could have already been updated. Without disabled. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Number 1 comment in the Mulligan live stream thread. That what happened to Mogwai moment. Dear Lord, how much I love Burza. Nothing likes him. Nothing like a little publicity, right? Nothing like a little publicity. All right, cool. So Ethna has the most provision? It's not true though, right? It's not true. All right, well, we'll probably know. It's on Reddit, sort by new? Okay, it's on Reddit. We'll sort by new. Incoming. So, I mean, what does this tell us, right? What does this tell us? Really shows how they evaluated, because before, the evaluation of a leader was on like a 1 to 4 scale. Now, the number is arbitrary. Like, to bring things down to 150... and then to give provisions beyond that, that was a clear decision. So much finer balance for leaders. It's really cool. It's really cool. So let's see here. New leader provisions from last stream picture format. I'm gonna spend my little update right here. Okay, so it appears Usurper has 10, so he has a 160 provision cost deck. Ooh, that's a nerf. Mulligans help him, but ooh. Erica's Queen is still pretty low, but honestly, Erica's Queen suffered more from the Mulligans, guys. Like, you could fit good stuff in. You could fit good stuff in. Full test has 13. Ooh, man. That means... I can make it work. I can make it work. Where's Henselt here? Is every leader represented here? Okay, so it's represented like this. So this is the order. I'll change my my feed to browser here again. But a moment, please. All right. So I would like to say thanks very much to u/Orwald on Gwent Reddit for posting this. So you can see that the leaders in provisions granted from lowest to highest, Usurper, Erika's Queen, full test. Usurper at 10, Erika's Queen at 12, full test, Francesca, Bran at 13, Emir, Harold, and Unseen Elder at 14, Est, Philavandrel, and Bruver, John Calvert, and Eridan at 15, Demavend at 16, Ada at 16, Woodland at 16, Henselt at 17, Croc at 17, Morvran at 18, and Ethna at 19. So, gut reactions, guys. Gut reactions. When will the update drop? I don't think they gave a date, but they said new leaders before the end of the month. And I think they said something about a patch happening this week, but I'm not 100% sure on all of the changes or when that's happening. But the patches including the faction challenge, which I'm a part of, I'll talk about that in a moment. In a memento. So Usurper having the lowest, this is pretty obvious to me. The design decision on this one seems pretty obvious. The Usurper has a way of disabling a deck in a big way, so his deck comes pre-disabled, essentially. The synergies that he's able to put together, he doesn't have the budget for it, really. Mulligan changes this week, faction challenge next week, leaders and balance patch end of the month. Oh. So the Mulligan changes include these changes, though, that we're talking about, the leaders. Yeah? Because this is the one I want to play with first anyway. This is the one I want to play with first anyway. Anyway. I would say that absolutely Usurper is fine. The only argument is that he's too good. The only argument is that he's actually too good here. But he can make a worse deck than now. But he can mulligan till his heart's content, right? He can mulligan forever and ever. Do you think Usurper beats you 100% of the time? If he could mulligan forever, but he had a lower salary? But you can also look at it like this. Because now we're looking at Usurper in a vacuum, right? We're looking at Usurper, he has his ability, cancel your opponent's ability, and you have 5 less recruit cost to work with. Have a good time. You also don't have a leader ability. But when you compare it to the other Nilfgaard leaders, because now you say, which Nilfgaard leader can build the strongest army? Because that is an answer. That's a question you can answer. And as it is right now, Morvran, pound for pound, can build the strongest army, whereas Usurper can build the weakest army. Everything else is built around the leader, obviously the ability of the leader as well. Morvran can build a vastly superior army, but that is because his ability is niche to reveal, and top is a 6-point ultimate play if you don't get anything else out of it. So you wouldn't not get anything else out of it. But in order to really work your niche, you might have to overspend on some cards. So I think that it makes Morvran a little bit more cohesive, and there's probably a combo in there that Morvran can fit together. Whereas Usurper cannot at all fit together that combo or possibly any combos that are worthwhile. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see if 10 is too high. Might as well keep talking about Nilfgaard. I feel like talking about it vertically makes a little bit more sense horizontally, because now we have Emir. So Emir is slightly under what we know now as what we'll say is the legacy army provision cap, recruit cap, which is 165. Emir comes in at 164. So if you had a card that you liked that you were just squeezing in, you can't squeeze it in anymore. If you're running one ofs, a 4-drop, and you just go ahead and have to put in 2 of those so you can just breathe a little bit more. That's the way Emir works. Emir's ability, however, Emir's ability is very powerful, and it affects future design. Like, it affects a lot of stuff, right? So a power combo from Emir can be very, very strong, and I think we know that. So Emir is actually just a little nerfed. A little nerfed. He doesn't come as is. All the leaders that have less than 15 were, in the eyes of CD Projekt Red, high-powered leaders. John Calvert, right at the baseline. So the leaders Est, Philavandrel, Bruver, John Calvert, Aridin, those leaders are considered balanced, I guess. They're balanced in a deck that can be built today. That's fine. And because of that, so you can build a deck of today now, right? Hold on, I'm just going into the deck builder. And all that really changes here. So what is it? It's Calvert. So it's Calvert, Aridin. Calvert, Aridin, Bruver, Philavandrel, and Est. So Philavandrel, Bruver. Yeah. So it's interesting. Aridin, Bruver, Philavandrel, and Est all have 3 mulligans, which is the highest amount of mulligans in the first place. So they have already had the benefit of having the most amount of mulligans in the first place, often having 3 or 4 in the last round. They now have less mulligans in the last round, unless, of course, they burn cards, but otherwise are completely unchanged. Aridin arguably has one of the strongest abilities in the game. Est, Philavandrel, and Bruver, I don't think they do, because they are heavily synergistic abilities, which is great that they kind of stayed at 165 as opposed to going down. Calvert also has a very, very strong ability and also had lower mulligans before. So you could say Calvert actually is buffed with the extra mulligans in the end. Really interesting. I think Calvert's going to be a very, very strong card. Calvert's just going to be a strong single-use card, just like all the other ones are. Just like Herald. Just like, well, Aridin's a little different because you don't necessarily use it to close the game. You use it to secure the round. So let's talk about the cards that go up from here. So Demavend, Ada, Woodland, Henselt, Krokon Crate, Morvrand, and Ethna. All of these cards, or all of these leaders, feel like they've been just buffed. They're just buffed. And I think that's great for Demavend and great for Ada, and pretty good for Henselt. Henselt was stuck in the Mulligan Bermuda Triangle. Such a great ability. Really, really hard to play when Witchers were big in the meta. He's better now. More Mulligans. Witchers aren't as big in the meta now. But now he has extra provisions. That's great. That's great. Henselt's so great. Big, big fan of Henselt. I think it's awesome. Krokon Crate getting higher. Hello there.
From the Soda
What's happening here?
Air Canada Center in Toronto, Canada.
Whoa! Crozier with a big host. Let's see how the Texas Speech handles it.
In a flash, 133 bloodthirsty riders were upon us. We stood no chance. They just kept shouting, "Glory to Crozier! Our lives for Crozier!"
Crozier, your followers raid my channel. The Warden of the North. Warden of the North must defend my walls. Are you friend or foe? Are you... What's your thing? I know you like potatoes. I know they like that down in Nilfgaard. I'm just saying, maybe you should just watch your step, okay? Watch your step. Watch your step. Watch your step. Crozier, good to see you, my friend. This is a bad place for the alerts right now, I'll tell you. While I'm on the screen. Whew! All right, what was I saying? We were talking about the provisions being given to these leaders here. We were saying that, yeah, Demavend and Ada having higher provision, great. Henselt, really great. They're just leaders that just felt like they needed a little bit more. Just a little bit more. Croc, I don't believe needed more. Croc, I would have believed he would have been fine being a 14 or 15 point leader, just because he's had such high representation and he's so reliable. But then again, I've been gone for a season, and I don't know if Crack is bad now. We didn't see any. We didn't play against any today. So there's that. So there is that. And then you have Morvran, and I think this is fine because I think that, like the case that I made, that the synergistic decks need the most help. And Morvran's ability... Grossmont, thanks.
Congrats on Nier.
Congrats on Nier. Henry Grossmont, thanks so much for the sub and for the 2 months in a row.
Commandos!
What a pal. I'm back, by the way. It's my first day streaming in like in about 3 weeks. 3 or more weeks. Last time I streamed was something like December 14th. It's been a really long time. I'm back in a big way. I'm super happy to be back. The holidays were busy from the 15th until about the 4th. It was just... But I'm back. And it's good. I didn't play like any card games at all. You know what I played? Diablo 3. Ah, so much Diablo 3. So much Diablo 3. My baby. My baby. It was just my mind was clean in the moments of solitude I had when I played Diablo. Maybe I played it a bit too much. Jury's out. Jury's out. So I'm saying, Professor Murdoch, good to see you. So I'm saying, Morvran got a lot of extra provisions. Ethna got the most. And this is interesting. So what I see when I look at Croc, Morvran, and Ethna, I see reach. These are leaders that have a very soft ceiling. Well, not Morvran. Not Morvran. His ceiling isn't that soft. But Croc and Ethna, just because of what they're able to do, Croc in the case of being able to, in a long round, just go, go, go. Doesn't matter if anything's on the board, just go. And Ethna being able to line up a board and basically have whatever removal spell you have plus X, and X is one of your leader points. Those are really strong. If you look at Ethna, Morvran, and Croc, you could say they have X points. So Ethna has 4 points, Morvran has 6 points, and Croc has like, give or take like 8 or 9-ish points, I guess. Maybe 10 points. If you use them every single turn, if there's a target every single turn. They are not single-use leaders, but they get that value. Because Morvran gets more than 6, right? He gets Spear's value, he gets Mangonel value, he gets Spotter value. So, stuff like that. Ethna gets the most benefit. I'm really interested because I don't see any of these as haphazard. I don't see any of these as, oops, that's a mistake. Ethna is just a surprising one. Because I don't think anybody would have bat an eye if there was a 15 there. But the fact that she has the most, with the assumption that her ability, pound for pound, is the weakest. And I think that when played around with the increased provision cost of Scorch, some of the ways that you have to build your deck to line things up do take like high provision point cards like Shiru and Regis, so you need that space. But it's just 4 points right? It's not like you play Eth and then you can put in another like Regis or like another Shiru. So it's 4 extra points. So, I mean, the bad way, but the not wrong way to look at it is Ethna can add another 4-point card to the deck. Yeah, right. That's not going to happen. There's ways to edit the average of your deck to squeeze in a little bit of oomph. But the bottom half of that deck still has to be bad. When I say bad, I mean less power than the top. So I would say that, and I think that the meta has been trending more towards playing more cards that are around 9 points. Like as many 9 to 10 point cards you can play. And in some situation, 8-point cards for leaders that can get it, like they have like a discount, like it's a card that's good, but in this faction it's better because it's 8, but it's normally 9 or something like that for 7 or 6. Like a good example, I guess, is Young Spear Tip. It's just a Primordial Dow. It's just cheaper for monsters, right? So maybe you consider running something like that to play the value game. Also, Monsters cares about big units. Stuff like that. You know, I like me some Primordial Dow. I should say Young Spear Tip. I also like saying Young Spear Tip because that's, you know, he's the hottest MC this side of Monster Town. I don't know where they come from. So, yeah. But at the being the highest, I'm okay. I'm ready to play. I'm ready to try this stuff out because this is like, it's a change that's not, it's neither overly ambitious nor is it safe. Who agrees with me with that statement? That is to say, would you say that this change is overly ambitious or even ambitious? Because, I mean, a lot of people were suggesting this change in the first place, so it's almost like, it's not like they came out of left field and showed us something that no one ever thought about or ever thought could possibly happen. That's why I'm saying it's not overly ambitious. Because the community's we're already on your side, right? We're already like, yeah, we talked about this. Yeah, it sounds good. And it's not too safe because it's a fundamental change on how we build decks. And the deck builder was like one of the highest praised things of Homecoming. But the reason why it doesn't feel too safe is that there is a slight level of discomfort, but I think that that's mostly excitement, not like, it's not fear, right? That's mostly excitement. Draws have been, so just in case you're tuning in right now, this will be podcast material as well, but just in case you're tuning in right now, draws and hand limit unchanged. Overdrawing, you don't discard the card. Instead, it gives you bonus mulligans on the following round. All leaders have the same amount of mulligans, 2, 2, and 2. If you have blue coin, you have an extra mulligan on round 1. If you quote unquote burn a card in an overdraw, which is not burning a card, so we're not going to say burn. We're just going to say overdraw. If you overdraw past 10 on a future round, you get another mulligan. So if your hand is awful, you get a chance to build like the ultimate hand for round 2, the ultimate hand. It's just like one small benefit, whereas before there was 0 benefit, which is what people wanted. And the final thing is, yeah, no changes to draw, no changes to hand limit. 10 cards limit. That stuff. And mulligans for everything. So now leaders, instead of giving you mulligans, they now give you provision points. Decks are now at a flat 150, and leaders give you more points, starting at 10 at the lowest end for Usurper and 19 at the highest end for Ethna, as it stands and is speculated from the live stream, which is in no ways a reflection of what actually will come to pass in the next patch. Anything is subject to change, but I'm just saying that's what we saw. And also, Powell drew attention to it. He's taking a quick bite of pizza. XY Invincible says, I don't think it's overly ambitious. I think it's interesting. Forces you to rethink deck building. Yeah, because we've always been deck building around the leader, but we've been building within the same box for every leader. The only difference being the leader's ability and how many times you can swap cards. Noob TF. Here's something interesting they didn't address. Say you get an extra mulligan in round 1 because of your overdraw. You're talking about your round 2 mulligans. And you didn't use your original 2 mulligans. I don't think you bank them. I am 99.9% sure that you do not bank the mulligans you don't take. The coin flip loser. I hope not having blacklisting doesn't become more of a problem with more mulligans. I think that if everybody gets a 6 to 7 plus amount of mulligans over the course of the game, I don't think blacklisting is going to be as much of a problem, because I think we will have greater control over what we play in what round. And then there are a lot of situations where I want to play my bronzes. I don't want them in my hand, though, because I'm trying to mulligan them away. And I didn't want them in my hand before, so I get the other one back. And I didn't want to mulligan anything in the beginning because I only had 3, right? So I think bronzes on the low end of the provision scale are going to feel different, because we're going to be able to play them more strategically without paying for that as much. Again, I could be wrong, but I think that's how it's going to. I think that's how it's going to slant. And the reason I think that is because I've been playing a lot of full test engine stuff, and like the Lyrian Cavalry, the Lyrian Arbalest, the Reinforced Trebuchet, putting those down early on a round. I don't care what round it is. Those cards are going to get me value if they're not dealt with. They demand removal in any round you play them. They're great cards. They're 4 and 5 provision cost. I want them in my deck. So, I mean, as the card pool grows, we're going to have to be sure that that's like Lyrian Cavalry, Werewolf. Those are like the strongest ones, right? At 4. That's like the baseline for me. There's a Magna Division. Magna Division's a good one. Actually, that might be a 5. I forget. And also, what's the one? The Nausicaa Sergeant. That's 4, right? That's a really good 4-drop too. But you can't make the 4s. Like, over time, as cards get added, we're going to get to a stage where every faction has, like, 5 really decent 4-drops. I say 4-drops, you know what I mean, 4 recruit costs. And then, I mean, it's always better for them to be niche, like faction-specific, and Lyrian Cavalry is, because you need to play certain cards to activate it. Nausicaa Sergeant is, you need to play certain cards to activate it. Werewolf isn't, but Werewolf doesn't have, like, a ceiling. Werewolf just is what it is. Like, it's actually fine. Like, that's what we should be striving for. You can't just make a card, you can't just end up with a situation where you've made a card at 4 provisions and it's always 5 points, so you always play it because it's always 5 points. Like, Lyrian Cavalry can be more than 5 points. That's why it's so damn good. And it starts at 3. That's fair. I mean, I just think it's a really good 4-drop. And it's within the realm of, you don't need to change the cost of that card, what that card does, the strength level of that card. But that's in the current landscape with the bad ones, too. If we're in a landscape where every faction has 5 really good 4-provision cards, then I don't know. Then I'm not sure. There should always be like 1 or 2 like pretty desirable ones. As cards get added, we're going to see. But then once we get into an understood, like, let's go ahead 2 years from now. Let's paint a picture that 2 years from now, we're all still playing Gwent. Gwent has only improved. They've added 4 or 5 expansions. 2 years, let's see. Let's say 6 expansions. 2 new factions, 2 years from now. They got a new pro circuit going. All is well. Now we're in a phase where the next year of the game would be likely subject to a rotation of sets. And within a rotation of sets, you now know what the maximum amount of cards can be in a set, how many cards at each provision cost were in that set, and what like the when you're topped out, when your card pool is at its fattest, how are people playing those cards? How are people building decks? This is really, really important when designing new cards. For example, let's say Lyrian Cavalry was better than it currently is. Let's say it was a 4 provision cost card that came in at 4 and triggered when any card with orders were played, because there was a PTR where it was bugged and Thunderbolt Potion would buff it too. Let's say that card, while really, really good, never got nerfed. Say that card never got nerfed. Now we're 2 years. Northern Realms, we're going to see a set rotation. Now we're going to that crazy parallel dimension with all the bugs that Avalok took Geralt through in Wild Hunt or whatever. That's the new expansion. And Lyrian Cavalry is rotating out. Oh no, Northern Realms lost its best 4 recruit cost card for the last 2 years. So good in full test, so good in X and Y, whatever. But they release a new Northern Realms card, that is a 5 provision or 5 recruit cost card that comes in at 5 strength that has a nerfed version of that card. Now it's only units. Costs more to put in the deck, starts off a little bit better, triggers off units only. It's different, right? It's different. It's the same but different, but it's worse than the old one. But it brings back a feeling of nostalgia and the way you play. This is why when you look at Magic the Gathering, every time they release a set, they release a card that costs blue mana that counters something. Every single set. So that's why I would assume that every single Gwent expansion would include a card that consumes something, a card with a Death Wish, a card that cares about pirates, a card that is a pirate, a trap, an artifact that's bronze, an artifact that's gold, a very important lore character, some really good mid-range cards, some like really good 8s and 9s, some really hard to use like 6s and 5s that you want to build around, and now you have more room to do it. You know what I'm saying? So, different options, because once you see the swell in the card pool and you know the limitations of the deck, then you know where the bloat is. You know where you can do a little bit of sanding, where you can use the chainsaw on that block of ice and just make that sculpture just a little bit smoother. But the tricky part in that is also designing like really fun cards, right? Like Drog. You want to drop like 5 or 6 Drogs every expansion, right? Even more than that. You want to drop a card that is just like, oh man, if I can make this card work, this card's really good. And it's exciting. And, it has a really unique effect. It does something that nothing else does. It uses like a card that already exists in the game in like a really unique way with the humans and the Kidweni Revenants. Like, Draug is one of the most fun cards in the game from a design standpoint. It's flavorful. You just want to slam it on the board. You just want to go, my lords, to your banners. It is such a hype card. It is the kind of card that you want to just... You never want to be worried if there's too many of those cards in an expansion, right? Pog all the way, Pog champ. So you want cards like that, like, and then there's stuff like, then there's the other aesthetic stuff that Gwent really does well, like Aridin using his leader ability, that fist and the crack and the boom. Like Ada needs a huge upgrade in that department. But Aridin's is the high bar that all leaders should aspire to. Satisfaction of effects. The aesthetic stuff, it's not a big deal, but it matters. It matters. But it feels so good when a card is done so right, like Draw was done so right. And they moved the faction. They changed everything they could about that card, a card that had already been changed, and I'm not exaggerating, 69,000 times. So this card, a card that is basically scrambled eggs, drops down in Northern Realms, and it's like, oh my god, this is the best Northern Realm card ever. I want to make this work. Oh man, it works. Oh, it's even too good. It needs to get nerfed, because if we ever make Northern Realms even slightly better, this card is going to be nasty. And he's still great. I love Drow. This has been a new segment called Dane crushes on a card for exactly 14 minutes and 20 seconds. That was a guess. So yeah, so there's that. But this is the big thing, though. What can you fit into these decks? So the reason why I was okay with Full Test being a 13-point leader is because Full Test has a pretty clear agenda. I'm going to put three big-time units in my deck, so I have 3 big-time plays in my deck. You got to give him a little less there, because if he can build a deck as good as yours, but also make 3 of his cards like potentially round affecting, you have like one fallback or one like weird situation. Giving him, like, I think Full Test is done right. Full Test is very, very good. And right now, I'm playing with what I'm calling the fun gold slot, in which currently is an 11-point flex slot. I don't think I should have an 11-point flex spot. That being said, a 9-point flex spot, still good. The 9-point cards are very good. They're very good cards. Except for that one, what's that one I think is so dumb? Where is it? Every time I see it, but I forget what it's called. Oh, maybe I don't see it here. Oh, because it's actually not a 9-point card, it's a 10-point card? Is that what it is? Alright, well, this is just dead air then. Anyway, my bad. Oh, here. Oh, no, it isn't. Okay, we'll just move past it. I can't find the example I was looking for some reason. That's what I got for taking a little break from the game. Just a little break. I don't know why I can't find it, but it's kind of like this. It does the same thing as a unicorn does, but it doesn't do anything. It does like strictly worse than the unicorn, right? It's just worse in every possible way. So you have a unicorn that's 4 that deals 4, and you have the enraged Ifrit that's 4 and deals 4. This is the one I was talking about. They're both 4-point units that deal 4 damage at 9 recruit cost. But the Kyrenex has a synergy with the unicorn. The enraged Ifrit is worse in every possible way. Unless, of course, your opponent has a way of stopping a relic from coming down. But, like, that doesn't exist. So, that kind of thing. So, yeah, Nilfgaard with John Calvert's an interesting one. I love it. I think Morvrand's going to be pretty cool, because that ability with extra army is going to be pretty awesome. Woodland is a surprise. Why? Because ghouls are expensive? I don't know. It's just 1 point. It's just 1 point. It's just 1 point, and you could make the argument that they foresee a meta where Woodland is just not good, because you could make the argument that every leader that was balanced around mulligans getting the same amount of mulligan is just going to be better. And better against Woodland. I don't know. I really don't know. It's like going to be a wild new place. It's going to be totally wild. And I'm going to be jumping all over these leaders, because we're not going to know a damn thing. But we are going to know what people are going to try. You know people are going to try Ethna. You know people are going to try Big Woodland. Henselt's going to be pretty popular, I'm very sure. And Usurper and Erika's Queen are probably going to be pretty popular. I think stuff like Herald is made to look unappealing, but is actually really good. But he's a single-use leader that shuts the game down. I mean, but you could say the same thing about Calvin. But Calvin can get less done than Herald. Herald is gross. Herald could be less than 14, and I'd be okay with it. Est is kind of the same as Calvet in this situation here. Kind of play 2 cards in a turn, right? The play 2 cards in a turn people are here. In fact, only the play 2 cards in a turn, except for Francesca. Francesca is worse. But yeah, Est, Calvet. Well, Est Calvet, I guess, since they changed Morvan's ability, it's only been Est Calvet. Oh, yes. All right, well, we talked about this for long enough, because I wanted to talk about the second thing that was revealed on the stream, and that is your Gwent faction ambassadors. Ambassadors. And I am your Northern Realm faction ambassador. And I will be taking on the savage and somewhat filthy Sir Pumpkin, representing Scoia'tael, the gruesome and unrelenting. What's the kind of like a negative slash positive thing for monsters? Gruesome and smelly. Yes, positively smelly. The gruesome and smelly ocean mud, representing monsters. The privileged and naive Jagras, just following the Empire wherever it goes. Jagras taking Nilfgaard into battle. And finally, the I already used Savage for I already used Stab. Oh, Stuck Up is also Nilfgaardian. I already used Savage for Pumpkin. The I don't know, toothless, haggard Shinmiri, representing SK. And I see Gulo X2 in the chat saying, don't say anything bad about the Isles, but I want to first of all, I want to say, Gulo, you know, you've been a long-standing commando and supporter of the channel, and it's too bad that over the faction challenge you're not going to watch, because if you do watch, I'm going to call you out as a Northern Realm supporter, as a traitor to the Isles. Just kidding, man. Always welcome in my stream. But this is going to be a fun thing that we're doing, but we're going to do more. It's not like we're just going to be playing our faction on stream all the time. No. That would be the base level of let's have fun with this. Then it's like, you got fans of the faction, you got fans of the streamer, have a good time. Oh, no. There's more than that. You also get faction kegs when the faction does well. You also get faction-specific arena events, I believe. Also, I do believe, but I am not sure, and I legitimately am not sure, that this may have some tie-in to the ranked ladder, but I do not know. In addition to that, we can just have a really good time with this thing. In addition to that, we also are making... Sorry, I drew a blank for a second. We're also going to have, some input on the starter decks and the starter experience, because everybody comes into Gwent fresh-faced, wide-eyed, open-eared, sweaty-palmed, potentially hairy-chested, but not always, and says, what faction speaks to me as a person? Am I stuck up? Do I like Nilfgaard? Am I a little baby? Do I like Scoia'tael? Am I hideous? Do I like monsters? Am I completely mannerless and dirty? Do I like Skellige? Or am I, cut from the cloth of kings in a world of nobility where you're more likely to be a king than anywhere else? And, more divided territories mean more sports teams. You guys like that? Am I just a noble, outstanding, hardy Northman? Do I like Northern Realms? So people might say that when they look at these new faction cards and these new faction decks, because they're going to choose who they are going to trust to get them the greatest prize of all in Gwent. The W, the win, the points, the experience, the rank, the MMR, the stained glass shard, the win streak, the points, the node, the ore, the dust, the scrap. You're going to want to know where you're going to want to get the most of that. And I'm going to tell you where, right here. Right here. You're going to put on your best lily. Looks a little bit like the fleur-de-lis. Huh. About that. About that. You get to represent the lily, or the fleur-de-lis. The fleur-de-lis. What did I say? That's what I said, fleur-de-lis. And you get to represent the north. Wherever you are, if you're in the north and you're not supporting the Northern Realms, shame on you, especially for Nilfgaard, your hypocritical leader up there in Sweden. That's northy. It's pretty northy. Wasn't even born in Sweden. Some leader. Some leader. So I'm just saying. We're gonna make that, on that 5-bar bar graph. It's going to be big, blue, and true, my friends. So what else is there to talk about? I mean, yeah, Sihil's changed. Sihil's getting a cooldown of 2 and a provision point reduction of 4. Yeah, seems like it definitely makes the card much worse. And it's less provisions. Might be good. I don't know, cooldown 2 seems like a safe approach. Plus, making it a little bit easier to put in the deck. And the other one was Letho. Letho doesn't take away your mulligans anymore because he just can't do that anymore, so he doesn't do that. He doesn't do anything. He's just a 9-point body at 11 provision points. So he's kind of like a dead card for Nilfgaard. So, is it Skellige? No, Skellige got their extra card, didn't they? So Nilfgaard's kind of missing a card right now. So the last thing I want to talk about is well, let's see. We don't have to look at this anymore. Last thing I want to talk about is the channel. We're back. First of all, we are back streaming whatever. We're going to stream a lot of Gwent. Obviously, Gwent changes are coming. I'm the Northern Realms Faction Ambassador. Obviously, we're going to be streaming tons of Gwent. Gwent Masters event starting in 2-ish months. You're going to see a lot of Gwent from your boy McBeard. No worries. But as far as the channel is, well, the channel. I mean, if this part's on YouTube, don't worry too much about this part. But if you're watching this on Twitch, it's going to be some days I really, really want to play Magic the Gathering. I play it all the time in paper. I play it every Saturday. Every Saturday, I'm trying to get out to play Magic out there at my local game shop. And it's a great social experience. Great to get out of the house. Always a good thing to look forward to every week. It's just a good thing in my life right now, and I want to keep it a good thing in my life. And MTG Arena allows me to play it even more, and I love that game. So every now and then, I've liked the idea of playing like Midnight Magic or something like that. You're going to see, first of all, in paper, I only play black, and on stream, I'm only ever going to play monocolor decks. That's going to be my thing, and it's going to be infrequent, but it's going to happen. But it's Gwent full steam ahead. But I think that their online community is really great. I just, big fans of Alias, obviously, big fans of Merchant, big fans of Flake, big fans of Trudon, big fans of all the people that play, and I'm not singling anybody out. I'm just saying there's a lot of people that play Magic too, as they should, because it's a great game and it's been a good game for a long time. But we're going to just stop talking about MTG right there because this is Gwent podcast territory, of course. So I took a break. On December 15th because we started the holidays, and it was a lot to deal with, and a lot to catch up with, and a lot to process. And it took me a lot of days to feel okay with taking the break because there's some things that I'm a little behind on. I'm behind on a few things, and my stream consistency was bad. My YouTube video consistency was bad. My Patreon consistency, which really kind of rips my heart out, was bad. But I am going to make it up. I'm going to try to make it up to you this January because I've got the list of things, I would just turn my camera around right now, but I'm looking at a new to-do list. I've got things a bit more organized. The new office, it really changes my whole mood being in this room. Like, it's kind of hard to understand. Like, everything here, like, the whole room is different, but you see the Emir picture? The Emir picture never moved. So what might that mean? That means that the Emir picture was behind me when I used to stream. Well, what does that mean? Well, that means that I must have been on the other wall that's behind Emir. But I wasn't, because that wall, you know, that wall is a closet. So where was I? Well, my friends, I was in the middle of the room. I was in the middle of the room with these shelves behind me, which are pretty thick, as you can see. If you could even see that. And a fair enough distance away from my lamp that points at my face, so it's not on the other side of the wall. By the way, this room is like... What's my wingspan here? What would this be? It's like 10, 11 feet. It was a cramped space. I'd play like this. I had my mic, which is now on a boom, right? It used to be on a stack of books. So I basically, like, couldn't, like, it would have been here. So the mouse had to be, like, way over here, and the keyboard had to be way over here. And then I just had to have this giant platform where where this thing had to sit, right? It was just, my shoulder hurt all the time because I was always like this. Like, the opening of my desk didn't cater well to where my monitor was, but now my monitor is not even on the desk anymore. It's on like a separate table. Life is good, my friends. It's also good to be home after being out of town for a really long time. It's good to be home. Today's a good day. Today's a good day. My friends, this has been the stream. We did play a couple games of Gwent, of course, and we got the stream today as well. So I do want to talk about more. I want to see stuff coming. We start at 11 o'clock a.m. and we're going to be starting at 11 o'clock a.m. every day playing Gwent. We might play Magic on like Wednesday or Tuesday. Depends on when this patches, when this faction battle starts. Not really sure, but I think maybe in light of that, I might play Magic tomorrow, but I might play Gwent tomorrow too. I'm playing Gwent on one of those days. I'm going to be updating my schedule. Going to be updating my streaming schedule is already the pinned post on my Twitter, which is at McBeardCH. Going to make a video out of this little chat, of course, on YouTube as well at McBeard, and of course you're watching this at McBearded. Timbo, what about art streams? They're coming back, obviously, because I got a lot of art supplies for Christmas. We might be doing that on Wednesday. We might do it on weekends. Depends on the fire in my belly for Gwent, you know? Like, it's, I try to take advantage of those things, but it's good to always take breaks. But it's going to be more like, probably, like one of the things I want to do, because I got so much cool art stuff from the fam. I got so much, like, ways to do things now. I might actually put votes up for the kind of art you want to see. And then there's one a week that I work on.
Commandos!
Hey!
Sound the horn, the Vegetaliana has resubbed for 21 months. Yeah, you'd better talk about those markers we got you, winking face.
Winking face. Winking face. I heard you. So good, these markers. I did talk about them already on the stream, but I don't know if it would be anything that would be published right now. But it's a 72 Copic marker set, and I am very, 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 very happy about it. So we are going to, I want to use every color in that 72 marker spot. So it's going to be like, do you want to see a red card? Do you want to see a purple card? Do you want to see a green card? All right, which green card? And then I do that for the week. That's something that's going to happen on stream, and things are going to be shared on Patreon as well. I promise you, it all goes together. I'm trying to streamline a lot of the stuff that I'm doing for you right now. Trying to do too much in different streams is very difficult as a man alone, right? So, not that I am a man alone at all. I have help from many people in my life, but, you know, at the end of the day, as people say, at the end of the day, You know, it's me. It's me hitting the publish button. You know, it's me hitting that go live button. The Vegetaliana in the chat. 21-month sub. Also has been. I'm trying to think of some other joke that goes with 21 months, but I can't do that because 21 months is a long time for anything. My streaming 2-year anniversary is in April, if you were curious, my friends. It seems pretty clear as this one is the 21st one. Oh, man. And it's going to be a great year. So being involved with CD Projekt Red means doing stuff with the starter decks, doing stuff with some official videos, perhaps as well. There's going to be a lot of content out for your boy McBee. We can all get excited about it together. I hope. I'm excited to be a part of it. And I'm also excited for other people to get the opportunity to be a part of it in the future. I don't think I'm the Northern Realms ambassador for every faction challenge. What I think would be amazing if every month there was a faction challenge with 5 different people. However, I think that it might be hard to source, what is that? 60 people a year to be faction ambassadors. I mean, there's a lot of great communities in the Gwent community, but is there 60 great communities? I don't know. People, they come, they go. I just think it's a really great idea. It's a really great idea, and it's really, I think that the opportunity is looking good for the. I mean, what do you got? Me and Jagras, and Shinmiri all on the Gwent Masters team, plus Sir Pumpkin, one of the biggest streamers of the game. Period. Always brings in the big numbers. And am I forgetting somebody? And Ocean Bud, all same thing as Pumpkin, but has also been the Monster Ambassador previously in a previous Faction Ambassador challenge. So, my peeps, it's happy to be counted among such good company, my friends. That's once every 6 months. Once every 2 months maybe would be great. Might be something fun they could always do before pro season starts. I think we can come up with something. It's good to be back. I can't say it enough, my friends. So happy to be back here. I am going to be in this chair, in this office tomorrow at 11 o'clock a.m. EST. All set up, meditated, fed. Approaching every day. Looking at that sunshine. I don't know. It's getting corny, but it's real. It's like, just let's do it right. Okay? So I want to do that, and there's lots of fun stuff we're doing. Obviously, we're playing Gwent. We're going to play some Magic. We're going to do some art streams as well. And I mean, if you guys are down on a Saturday or Sunday, we might play some Diablo or something else on Switch, because I got the Switch hooked up to the capture card, and it's a beauty. And yeah, that's it for me for now. Thanks so much, everybody. This is also going to be the finish of Commander's Horn as well, because I haven't posted one in a while. And I'm going to be posting one post-patch next week as well. Maybe talking to one of these faction ambassadors. Or all of them? I don't know. I didn't plan anything yet. I didn't think that it would be announced today. But that's going to be it for me. Until next time, this is McBeard. Best of luck on the path.